Hey everybody, welcome back. Thank you for watching Stags Be Fixin'. Today we're just pre-priming some bare wood that I'm going to be utilizing to build a toddler table. You see my daughter in the background. I had this idea to build her a fun little play table. And we just bought some cheap, I think these are called like whitewood. I don't think I've ever even bought these boards except to utilize, maybe to put doors on display or to lay out to put nicer boards on to cut. These are kind of just throwaway boards that, you're really not going to be utilizing to build anything significant with, or I would hope not, unless you're desperate. But we're just using these boards to build a little toddler table. They're cheap. I think they're about a dollar something a foot, and they have knots, and they're not the greatest. So we're definitely going to be finishing these out. We're going to be doing a lot of spackle caulk to make this board look a little bit nicer. And so we're just pre-priming here. And what I like to do is I like to lay all my boards out and prop them up with something. You see I have some Amazon boxes, some pieces of tile here, and a couple paint gallons. And we're just laying them on there to keep them off the ground. So, if we're going to paint these like right on the drop cloth, what would happen is you'd probably get a little bit of paint on the bottom side, and that would make it stick to the drop cloth, which you don't want. You could pull up, pieces of lint or, pieces of the fibers of the drop cloth might dry to it. And when you go to flip them over and prime the other side, you'll probably pick up a few pieces of those, have to scrape them off, and you're going to be causing yourself some more work, right? So always try to prop your wood up if you're going to be painting, pre-painting or pre-priming anything. And what I like to do is I like to dip I have a mini roller here. These boards are pretty small, so the mini roller is just going to give me more control over the paint. I don't want to load tons and tons of paint on here because we have a small surface, and we're doing two edges right here and the top surface first. And so I basically dip my roller into the bucket. I get a little bit of paint on there. Right there you can see. Yep, I was about to hit that edge there, but I want to lay some a little bit of the paint off on the flat part of the board before I go to the edges, because what I don't want to have happen is I don't want a big buildup of paint on the down facing side, the side you're not seeing right now. Because what could happen is that paint could build up there and it could dry, and then what you're going to have to do is either sand that off or scrape that fat edge of paint off, depending on where it's going to be exposed on your project, or it could, cause a little bit of a gap when you're trying to nail or screw the boards together. That dried up paint could be protruding to, get it as close as you want, or maybe that's the side you're eventually going to use. So we want to prime both sides nice. We don't want to have a ton of buildup on any of the edges. We just want to have a nice, smooth, coat of primer to work with. We're going to be putting probably 1 to 2 more coats of primer on these things after the table's built, and then we're going to do at least 2 coats of paint on here. So we're going to be putting plenty of paint on here in the future, and we're just going to get a nice solid coat of primer to get us going before we start putting our pieces together. So you dip, you lay some of the paint off on the smooth part of the board, and then you want to really lightly, everything is going to be pretty light roll. You don't want to be pushing super hard. Also, this wood is full of knots, so you want to apply a little bit more pressure. I'm just kind of taking the end, either the right or left side of the roller, and I'm kind of applying a little bit more pressure to fill those knot holes. Those are going to require a little bit more paint than just the regular flat part of the board is, right? I'm getting the majority of paint off the front, laying the majority of paint off on the front, and then I'm lightly rolling the edge. You just want to coat it. You don't want to be pushing hard, rolling aggressively into it. You just want to coat it with a nice solid coat. And that's pretty much it. And then you just kind of let them dry. come back and, I think this is about an hour dry time for this paint. And come back, flip them over, and coat the other side, and then you're ready to go. Then you're ready to cut your boards. All right, here's going to be the surface of our table. Just a piece of 3/4 inch ply. It doesn't have to be that thick, but just a board I found in the store. So same thing, you saw me dip my roller, and then I laid that little strip off. Got the bulk of the paint off my roller. I'm just going to roll these edges, and then once the edges are all rolled, I'm going to dip, and I'm going to coat this surface area real nice. When we get to the edges of these, you don't want to push hard. You kind of see how I go, and right at the edge I kind of lift off with my roller. I'm not pushing hard on the edge because I don't want any buildup of paint to go on the edge or to go on the underside. It's the same same principles as the long boards that are laid out. So I just wanted to give you a quick shot of the table surface area. You can see it has knots. I'm going to be pushing my roller a little bit harder on the sections with the knots to make sure and get those filled up. I want them nice and primed before I put any spackle or Bondo or anything else. That's another reason I'm pre-priming as well, is because I'm going to be doing caulking around the edges, and if things aren't primed, the bare wood tends to suck that caulking in. So you put a nice solid coat of primer on that bare wood, and it's going to prevent any it's going to prevent the caulking from shrinking more than it will if the board is primed. So just want to leave you with that. And I hope you guys found this video helpful. Just want to give you a few pointers when pre-priming any bare wood boards that you're going to be building or using. And we'll see you soon on the next one.